So this is a cool one. This is a cello, but instead of using the wood of a cello body, they used a massive artillery shell, basically a missile casing. And then, they affix a bridge and a tailpiece from a regular cello and a fingerboard attached to some metal thing that goes up to, guess what? A combat helmet at the top. So yeah, you've got a combat helmet. It's got a resonating chamber, some contact mics. Of course, they also mic it with acoustically. They mic it with condenser, large diaphragm condenser mics. So that's pretty cool. What's it sound like? Let's check it out. There are 3 NKI patches in this. The Master, which you just heard, I was using the Spiccato dynamic articulation. Right now I've got 2 different articulations selected. You can layer them and move between them with an A and B control, which is very cool. And there's more than you see on the screen here. There's only 12 shown, but the list is actually quite long. You've got 2, 4, and 8 count swells, for instance, trills, a number of different articulations that you can put in any of these 12 slots. There's also a True Legato patch, which we'll look at a little bit later. It's got an auto speed. It's called auto response. Basically, this is a speed control for how fast the legato transitions should take. And next, we're going to look at the phrases NKI, which are pre-recorded phrases in a variety of keys, major and minor. They have the ability to choose your start point, or you can use the offset. You can sculpt the phrases with the mod wheel, which actually helps them quite a bit. So let's listen to some of these and get a feel for the expressive nature of the instrument. Now, for a couple of these, I did end up putting a plugin on, or 2, or 3, or 4, because I wanted to deal with a couple of the things that I heard in the recordings, like there was a thump in one of them. So I found the easiest way for me to deal with that was just a deplosive plugin here. I had it automated so that you can see the green read. I automated it only to be on when I wanted it. So here's with it off. You can probably hear a thump there during the change of notes, and I'm glad that they leave these in. It's the raw recording. I don't mind personally just, dealing with those, handling those myself. This is just the pretty much a default plosive setting. I think I brought the frequency limit down to about 200 hertz. This is with that change. Much less. And then You know, I've also got Soothe on. And it also takes away the fundamental there. I've got it kind of slow, and it's taking care of other low resonant tones in that 100 hertz area, as well as above. But that fundamental looks like it's about 126 or so. And then I also have a little bit of a denoiser just at the very end of these. Sometimes there's a little bit of noise. Again, I don't mind taking these out myself. This is an inexpensive one. It's barely set. It's a tiny little correction here. You can see it just kicks in at the end when the phrase is letting go. It's just clamping down on some of the noise there at the very end. So those are a couple things that you might want to consider if you are interested in using these or using fragments of them and then just cleaning them up a little bit. Let's take a closer look at the Master.nki now and the different articulations you can pick. I love the shorts in this library. You've got this great Collegno and the Bartók Pizzicato. The Bartók Pizzicato. The Pizzicato has a really long release, so I did take this down quite a bit when I was working with it so that I could play notes that are very close together and not have them kind of run over each other. And the Pizzicato has two main dynamic layers within it. There's this softer one, and then this louder one. So when it says dynamic, it means that it's combining the piano and the forte, or in the case of Spiccato, there's a mezzo forte in the middle. That's what the dynamics patches mean. That means they pull together the groupings of dynamic layers. There's a staccato tremolo too. And the mod wheel works with the velocity sensitivity together so that you can get very quiet or very loud both ways. A Flautando. And the way you set up these layers is you can have a Flautando going into, let's say, a tremolo. So you set them to the same key switch first. I'll move this up to F#1. And now I'll assign this one to B and this one to A. So that when I move over to A, I've got the Flautando. Very cool. I did that with the Bartók Pizz and the Collegno, and I automated a little back and forth here with some drums. course, a Ponticello sustain. Harmonics sustain. These crescendos are great. The thing I wanted to show you with the crescendo is the difference between auto release and Play-Thru. Just release, do a nice little release volume, and you can adjust the level here, the length of it, the envelope itself, and then the volume of this sample. Or you can let the whole thing play through even if you just play a short amount. It'll go all the way to the end. Swell. And you can change it to a 2-count swell. Or an 8-count swell. There's trills. Minor, major second, even minor third. You've got equalizer, compressor, filter. Again, the space controls. Also on the space control, you can bring the instrument forward or further away. You can use this play assist control if you want to raise or lower scale degrees. Play the white keys and basically get sharps and flats just to help you along with different major and minor tonalities. The arpeggiator that we listened to earlier, and then the contact mic. Let's change the articulation to sustains and listen to the contact mic here. Close mic. This is the acoustic mic, the condenser mics. Again, that was a sustain. That wasn't a legato patch. Just the plain tremolos here. You've got this body control. It does add a little kind of lower resonance here. And there's a little vibrato recorded, but you can add more vibrato here too if you want. All right, and we are going to look at True Legato here. And I want to bring your attention to the auto response. It's off by default. So when you open the True Legato patch, if you want to hear how it is going to time the legatos, whether they go fast, medium, fast, or slow, the transition times are determined here. And they're on their slowest when you open it up. But if you change it to auto response, you'll get to hear a different timing. So all of those are legato, not glissando. And I've got the mod wheel up and the velocity is high to just show that they've been mapped to the legato. And you can hear the difference between this speed of transition when auto response is on. I mean, it may be even a little too fast for some sensibilities. So just going to turn the volume up here. So what you could do is take the auto response off and maybe bring this down. Let's put it right in the middle just for fun. And we could make it sound really sluggish and go all the way to the slowest part, and it won't play this fast part very convincingly. That's why you would want to move this slider around. Kind of put it wherever you feel like you want it. And you can move it, you know, from note to note too, but I'll put a little slower than the middle just to hear. A little faster than the middle. So this is, I think, a really important feature as you're trying to get expressive with it. Now, of course, these are all the legatos. We haven't done any glissandos, so let's have some fun. This is the slowest glissando between these two notes. And here's the fastest glissando. And here's right in the middle. So again, even with glissandos, you can pick how fast they're going to transition. The initial feeling for me when I was noodling was that I wanted the responses to be faster or slower from time to time. So you can pick, you know, how fast or slow you want. I really wanted to show you that because I thought it was pretty important. Notice you can also change the limits of the auto response, so it will never get slower than this or faster than this. That's another thing to keep in mind about the interface. Everything in this section is the same as the master. The only difference is when you're doing the phrases, the main is going to be covering the key groups, and the sequencer is going to be populated with all of the different starting steps, and it's not going to have an arpeggiator. Another thing that I really wanted to show you was the idea of a marcato. Now, the decrescendo 4 count can kind of work like a marcato. But you probably want a shorter decrescendo, so you can choose decrescendo 2 count. And again, if you use auto release and you let go right away. You get a pretty nice kind of marcato sound from that decrescendo. The round robins are also nice. So you'll hear that it used a different attack for that second note there, that third note in the sequence, but the second repeated note. You get a nice variation to avoid a little bit of that machine gun effect. The magnifying glass here will allow you to view all the different articulations, the sustains, all the shorts, all the expressions, and all the effects together in one view. And you can set up your own set of, you can make the velocity range equal in all the slots, reset all the start conditions, just empty all the slots and start from scratch, and then save and load articulation maps. There's lots of control in the interface. And then if I wanted to add, a pizzicato on top of these, I actually took the volume down a little bit, but I can add the pizzicato to, for instance, the Bartók pizzicato by simply moving this into the same key range and then assigning to A along with Bartók. But Collegno is still on B, so that when the sequence plays, pizzicato and Bartók pizzicato are playing together. This gives it just a little bit more body. And when we're over on the A side, we hear these two. When we're on the B side, we only hear Collegno. If I want to turn up the pizzicato, I can kind of beef it up a little bit. And turn this all the way down, for instance. So that's just pizzicato with none of the Bartók pizzicato in there. These shorts that you heard all have the releases down. When the releases are all the way extended, they are a little longer. Also on the True Legato, I found that it works best in the lowest octave. You lose a little bit of the cello sound when you're up in the upper range. So if you take those upper notes and transpose them, tune them down an octave just in contact here. Wonder what that sounds like 2 octaves down. I mean, there's still something interesting there. It still feels like an organic instrument, and that's the acoustic mic. Here's the contact mic tuned 2 octaves down, the highest octave of the instrument. I could see some sound design potential there. It definitely sounds pretty cool in the lowest range, though. All in all, it's a really great, well-rounded instrument. It's got a lot of options. It's got a lot of depth in the interface here. You've just got a ton of articulations to choose from, recorded phrases, a True Legato patch. It is definitely something worth playing around with if you can get your hands on it. Take care, have a good one, make some good music. We'll see you on the next one.